we're going to continue on to our last set of angle types. So our last two are at the bottom. It's complementary and supplementary. So this is on in class 7, complementary and supplementary. Okay, so these are two, and their definitions here are going to be super similar. It's just that the word complementary means something and supplementary means something else. So let's get right to that. Here we have two angles that add to 90. That's the key right there. Complementary means 90. Okay, now supplementary is two angles that add to 180. So 180 supplementary angles, linear pair is 180. So what's the difference? So that's this last little part here. These angles can be adjacent, but they do not have to be. They do not have to be touching each other. One can be over here and the other one could be over here. So complementary just means that they add up to 90. So they can be adjacent, they can form a linear pair, but they don't have to. Okay, so that's the difference between linear pair and supplementary. Linear pairs have to be adjacent, they have to be next to each other to form that line, and supplementary angles do not. Okay, so the start of these problems are already going to be written out for you. It'll say this angle and this angle are complementary. That 110% tells you your general equation. So I know there are times when I say, go ahead and write the equation. Go ahead and do this or do that. No, right here, this is saying you're going to do this angle. The word and in math, like if I have $5 and $2, that means plus. This angle are complementary. That's your general equation. It's right there. So you can go ahead and fill that in. So the measure of angle DEF and the measure of angle LMN is 90. Now, typically, our reason is the vocabulary word. So when it says complementary, right there, if it says that word, I'm going to use definition of complementary. Okay, then I can go ahead and I can substitute in here for my actual angle measures or my algebra. So DEF, that's going to go in for this first one. That's 43. So 43 degrees plus 6x plus 5 equals, and don't forget this 90. That 90 is really going to be the key. If you forget that, it's going to make it pretty hard to solve the equation. So we've got 6x plus 48 equals 90. Subtract this 48 from both sides, so 6x equals 42. Divide by 6, and get an answer of 7. Okay, if you're watching on a video, I would pause the video right here and see if you can write out the general equation and the reason for this supplementary, and then go ahead and push play again. Okay, so again, right here, it's telling you to take this angle and this angle and set them equal to, and then this is the word you have to know. Is this 90 or is it 180? So my general equation measure of the first angle plus the measure of the second angle equals 180. It says a vocabulary word right there. So my reason is definition of okay, now substitute in. My angle DEF is my 3x plus 2. My other angle is my x minus 6. And then I'll keep my 180. We'll combine our like terms. Add 4. Take 184 and divide it by 4 to get 46. Okay, on the back here, what you're going to find is you're going to find a mix of the different types of problems. Okay, so this is going to be an in-class assignment, but if we're going to be in class working on the general equation, the reason, and then writing this out. Don't worry about solving it, just doing those 3 parts. So if you want to pause the video now, and then we'll come back and I will show you number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if you'd like to pause the video right now, that would be a great idea for you just to see if you are comfortable with what's going on. Okay, so the general equation for this one should be measure of angle REA equals measure of angle GET. Now, what if you don't have that exactly? If you had AER, totally fine. If you had TEG, totally fine. Okay? These angles are vertical angles. And my equation would be okay. Now again, if I went through that too fast, that's because you should be pausing the video, trying to write the general equation, reason, and the equation by yourself, and then pushing play again to see if it's correct. Number 2. Sorry about this black line, that was from the front. So the supplementary tells you this is and supplementary, you might need to take a time out and look and see, is that the 90 or the 180? Okay, I'll tell you how I remember. 90 comes before 180 numerically, and complementary comes before supplementary alphabetically. So this one equals 180. And then here's my 2 angles that I'm adding together. So the measure of angle APE plus the measure of angle EPB equals 180. And then you can go ahead and substitute in your algebra. Okay, number 3. All right, so we're throwing in some extra here. So what we learned for this section is we learned complementary, we learned supplementary, and vertical. Complementary is going to look just like the last one, except for it's going to be 90 instead of 180. So the measure of angle PIE, oh, isn't that fun, plus the measure of angle FUN is 90. That's definition of complementary. And then we just substitute in my 2 parts. So 10x plus 3 plus 10x plus 7 is 90. Okay, so that's your vertical, your complementary, and your supplementary. So when I slide over to this next one, these angles here are not across from each other. So my options so far, you have 6 options from this section. You have angle bisector, angle addition, linear pair, complementary, supplementary, and the last one is vertical. Oh, I ran out of space, so vertical. Those are your 6 options. Okay, it says find x in the picture. So definition of angle bisector is out. Definition of complementary, definition of supplementary. Those are all out because it doesn't say that word in the problem. So let's come over to the picture. I have these two together. Are those two across from each other? Like here to here would be? No. So those are not vertical. So I'm left with 2. And really these 2 are the same for this problem. It's just that when I look at these 2 and I add them together, it gives me a special kind of angle, which is a straight line. So that straight line is 180 degrees. So if you were writing the equation first, which would be fine, x plus 42 plus 5x would equal 180. And now you go ahead and add back in your variable or your points and your angles for the general equation. Now we said that is the linear, those are a linear pair. So the linear pair angles would be the measure of angle PQR. Now I chose to do that one first. It doesn't matter the order that you put them in. The only thing that matters is that Q is that middle letter, RQS. Okay, and that's the 4th one. Now going down to the 5th one, again, we can cross out all of those same things that we crossed out before. There's no complementary, there's no supplementary, there's no bisects, so those are all out. So those are the first 3. The second 3 would be vertical, which these are not across from each other, so it's not vertical. Do you see that as a straight line? No, it's not a straight line, it's an L. So here I'm doing angle addition. Postulate. And if we're adding angles together, here's the 2 angles I have. I have 5x plus 1 plus x plus 11 equals, and then what's the whole thing? What's the whole thing? The whole thing is going to be right here. It shows you what the whole thing is, which that's not a number or it's not an algebraic thing, but it is telling you something. It's trying to tell you that this is 90 degrees. So your equal to is 90. And now you can go back up and use your general equation. In your general equation, use this to try to figure out the letters. So this 5x plus 1 is on this side. So we'll start with A, B, and go over to D. So measure A, B, D, plus the measure of the other one, DBC, and then equals 90 degrees. Now you could say 90 degrees, or because we're doing angle addition, it really should be the measure of angle ABC. The only time you should put 90 there is if it says complementary. Okay? All right, so that is a super fast track through the 6 different types of angles that we can use moving forward to do our proofs. If you want to know the names of those 6 again, like how am I supposed to remember those names? Those names are right here on the front of your packet. So here's the 6. And when we do our review, after this, we'll kind of be able to check off, like I know this one, I know this one, I know this one, but I don't know this one. You can kind of see, are you good with 3 of them? Are you good with 4 of them? Or are you comfortable with all 6 of them, right? Because that's how you get to your A- or level 3 range.